Have you fallen into the trap? The money trap. The trap everyone falls into. The trap that looks like responsibility, but is actually destruction. The trap that feels like caring, but is actually blocking. The trap of obsessing about money. Thinking about money constantly. Worrying about money endlessly. Checking balance repeatedly. Calculating bills obsessively. Planning how to get money desperately. The money trap. And if you're in it, money isn't coming. Can't come. Won't come. Because the trap blocks it. The obsession repels it. The worry destroys it. And destroying it is what you're doing. Right now. Through obsessing. Through worrying. Through thinking about money 24/7. And 24/7 thinking about money is 24/7 creating lack of money. Because consciousness creates reality. And consciousness of worry about money is consciousness of not having money. And consciousness of not having creates reality of not having. Always. Without exception. An exception is what you want. You want to be the exception. The person who worries about money and gets money anyway. But that's not how it works. That's not how consciousness works. That's not how Abdullah taught it works. And Abdullah knew. Taught Neville. 1932. The secret rule. The rule that changed everything. The rule about money. About obsessing. About the trap. And the rule is simple. Devastating. Life-changing. Stop obsessing about money. Completely. Forever. Because obsessing is the trap. And trap is what's keeping you broke. And broke is what you're staying. Until you learn the rule. Until you escape the trap. Until you stop obsessing. Starting now. Through Abdullah's secret rule. The rule that changes everything. The rule you're about to learn. Right now. Here's what you need to understand first. Why obsessing about money blocks money. Why thinking about money constantly repels money. Why worrying about money creates more lack of money. It's consciousness mechanics. Not spiritual platitudes. Mechanics. When you obsess about money, you're operating from consciousness of lack, of not having, of desperate requiring. And desperate requiring is consciousness state. Consciousness state of poverty, of insufficiency, of not enough. And that state, that consciousness, is what creates your reality. Not your actions, not your hustle, not your strategies, your consciousness. And consciousness of not enough creates reality of not enough. More bills, more expenses, more lack, more reasons to obsess, which creates more obsessing, which creates more lack. And the cycle continues, the money trap cycle, the cycle Abdullah identified, the cycle Neville was caught in, the cycle you're caught in right now, while reading this, while worrying about money, while thinking, but I need money, how can I not think about it? And that thought, that question, is the trap, is the problem, is what's blocking everything. Because needing to think about money is consciousness of not having money. And consciousness of not having creates reality of not having. So the more you think about money from need, the less money comes. The more you obsess about money from lack, the more lack you experience. The more you worry about money from poverty consciousness, the more poverty you manifest. And manifesting poverty is what you're doing. Through obsessing, through the trap, through not knowing Abdullah's secret rule. Abdullah taught Neville this in 1932, documented in Neville's lectures from 1948 onwards, specifically the 1951 series, where Neville recounts his early days with Abdullah. Neville came to Abdullah broke, actor struggling in New York, bills piling up, no money, desperate, and desperation showed. Abdullah watched him worry, watched him obsess, watched him check his pockets constantly, count his coins repeatedly, calculate expenses endlessly. And after weeks of watching, Abdullah said something that shocked Neville. He said, "You will never have money while you think about money like that. Never. Because you're thinking about money from poverty, from lack, from not having. And thinking from not having creates more not having. The money trap. The trap that keeps poor people poor and makes rich people richer. Poor people obsess about money because they don't have it. Rich people don't think about money because they do have it. And not thinking about it from having is what keeps them having. While obsessing about it from not having is what keeps you not having. So if you want money, stop thinking about money. Stop obsessing about money. Stop worrying about money completely and start being the person who has money. And person who has money doesn't obsess, doesn't worry, doesn't calculate constantly. They just have it. And having it in consciousness is what creates having it in reality. But you can't have it in consciousness while obsessing about not having it in reality. So the obsessing must stop. The trap must end. The worry must cease completely through my rule, the secret rule, the rule that changes everything. And the rule is this: simple, devastating, life-changing. For the next 7 days, you will not think about money at all, not once, not about getting it, not about lacking it, not about needing it, not about bills, not about expenses, not about debt, not about income, not about any of it. 7 days. Complete money fast, consciousness fast, obsession fast. 7 days of not thinking about money. But I have to think about money is the trap talking. Is poverty consciousness resisting? Is lack identity fighting? But fighting is what keeps you stuck, keeps you broke, keeps you in the trap, so you don't fight. You surrender. Surrender to the rule. Surrender to 7 days. Surrender to not thinking about money. And not thinking about money is not ignoring responsibility, is not avoiding bills, is not pretending you don't need money, is shifting consciousness. From obsessing about lack to assuming abundance. From worrying about not having to being someone who has. From poverty consciousness to wealth consciousness. And wealth consciousness doesn't obsess, doesn't worry, doesn't think about money constantly. Because wealth consciousness has money in consciousness. And consciousness having is what creates reality having. Always. But only if obsessing stops. Only if trap ends. Only if you do 7 days. 7 days of not thinking about money. 7 days that change everything. 7 days that break the trap. 7 days starting today. Starting now. Here's how to do it. Exactly. Day by day. Step by step. The protocol. Abdullah's protocol. The protocol that changed Neville's life. The protocol that will change yours. If you follow it, if you complete it, if you do all 7 days, without breaking, without obsessing, without falling back into the trap. Day 1. Today, right now, you make a declaration. Out loud if alone, silent if not, but declared. The declaration is, for the next 7 days, I am not thinking about money. Not about getting it, not about lacking it, not about needing it. For 7 days, money does not exist as concern. Money does not exist as worry. Money exists only as assumption. The assumption that I have it, that I'm wealthy, that I'm provided for, that I lack nothing. And that assumption is all that matters. So for 7 days, I assume wealth. I be wealthy. I live as wealthy. Without thinking about money. Without obsessing about money. Without worrying about money. 7 days. Starting now. And you mean this. Feel this. Commit to this. 7 days. No money thoughts. No money obsessing. No money worrying. 7 days of consciousness shift. From poverty to wealth. From lack to abundance. From obsessing to being. And being is what creates. Not obsessing. Being. After declaration, you install anchor. Physical anchor. Something that represents wealth consciousness. Not money itself. Consciousness of having money. Abdullah told Neville to touch his heart with his right hand whenever money thoughts came. Heart because wealth consciousness lives in heart, not head. Right hand because giving hand, receiving hand, having hand. So you choose your gesture. Touch heart. Touch stomach, center of certainty. Press palms together, receiving abundance. Whatever feels right, but choose now. And every time money thought comes today, you do gesture. Immediately, without arguing with thought, without engaging with worry. Just gesture. And with gesture comes redirect. Redirect from money thought to wealth assumption. From I don't have money to I am wealthy in consciousness. From obsessing to being. And being is the new pattern. The pattern you're installing. Day one, today. Through gesture. Through redirect. Through choosing consciousness over circumstance. Over and over. All day. Every money thought gets gesture. Every money worry gets redirect. Every money obsession gets, I am wealthy in consciousness. That's all that matters. And that's all that matters. Really, truly, mechanically. Day 2 through 4. Deepening. Yesterday, you installed the pattern. Today through day 4, you deepen it. You practice it. You live it. And living it means making decisions from wealth consciousness, not poverty consciousness. When bill arrives, you don't panic. You gesture. I am wealthy. This is handled. When you see price of something, you don't calculate if you can afford it. You gesture. I am wealthy. I have abundance. When friend mentions money problems, you don't join in worry. You gesture internally. I am wealthy. I see them wealthy. Every situation that would normally trigger money obsession gets gesture instead, gets redirect instead, gets wealth consciousness instead of poverty consciousness. And wealth consciousness in every situation is what creates wealth reality in every situation. Not immediately, but inevitably. If you stay consistent, if you keep gesturing, if you keep redirecting, days 2 through 4, over and over, building new pattern, new consciousness, new identity. Identity of wealthy person. And wealthy person doesn't obsess about money. So you don't obsess about money. You gesture. You redirect. You assume wealth. For 3 days, deepening, solidifying, becoming. Day 5 through 7, sealing. Final 3 days. By now, something's shifted. You feel it. Less anxiety about money. Less obsession with money. Less thinking about money. Not because you're avoiding it, because consciousness shifted. From poverty to wealth. From obsessing to being. And being wealthy in consciousness is starting to feel natural, normal, true. So days 5 through 7 are about sealing this, making it permanent, making it your new default. How? By living completely from wealth consciousness, not just redirecting money thoughts. Living from wealth, making decisions from wealth, moving through world from wealth, speaking from wealth, thinking from wealth, being wealth. Not pretending, being. And being wealthy means generous, certain, calm, abundant, provided for, secure. Not because bank account changed yet, because consciousness changed. And consciousness changing is what creates bank account changing. Soon, very soon. If sealing completes, if days 5 through 7 solidify the shift, if wealth consciousness becomes your consciousness, permanently, unshakably, inevitably. Day 7 evening, the ceremony. Abdullah into this to Neville. End of 7 days, you do ceremony. Simple, powerful, permanent. You sit. 5 minutes, alone, quiet. You do your gesture one final time. Hold it. And while holding gesture, you speak these words, adapted from what Abdullah taught. I am wealthy. Not becoming wealthy. I am wealthy. In consciousness, which is the only reality, I am wealthy. I have abundance. I lack nothing. Money flows to me, not because I obsess, because I am. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am provision. And being this in consciousness creates having this in reality. The 7 days are complete. The obsessing has ended. The trap is broken. I am wealthy. Forever. Amen. And you mean every word. Feel every word. Become every word. For 1 minute. Holding gesture. Sealing wealth consciousness. Completing protocol. Ending obsession. Breaking trap. Forever. Now, here's what happens after. After 7 days. After protocol completes. After trap breaks. You don't go back to obsessing. Don't return to poverty consciousness. Don't fall back in the money trap. You stay in wealth consciousness. How? The gesture remains. Whenever money thought comes in future, gesture redirects. Instantly. Automatically. Permanently. You installed this. You deepened this. You sealed this. Now it's yours. Forever. Access to wealth consciousness through gesture. Through redirect. Through I am wealthy in consciousness. And staying in wealth consciousness creates staying in wealth reality. Money starts coming, not from obsessing, from being wealthy, being abundant, being provided for in consciousness. And consciousness being wealthy creates circumstances being wealthy, new income, unexpected money, opportunities, raises, gifts, manifestations, all come. Because obsessing stopped, because trap ended, because you followed the rule, Abdullah's secret rule. 7 days of not obsessing. 7 days that changed everything. Real examples. Fast, powerful. Man was broke. Obsessed about money constantly. Bills, debt, lack. 20 times a day checking bank account. Learned the rule. 7 days no money thoughts. Use gesture every time. Redirected every worry. Stayed in wealth consciousness. Day 3. Felt shift. Less anxiety. Day 5. Felt wealthy despite same bank account. Day 7. Ceremony. Sealed it. Day 9. Unexpected check. Old friend paying back forgotten loan. Exact amount needed for that month's bills. Day 12. Job offer. Higher salary. Better position. Came without applying. Without seeking. Without obsessing. Came because consciousness was wealthy. And wealthy consciousness creates wealthy reality. Always. When obsessing stops. When trap ends. When protocol completes. Woman was in debt. $30,000. Obsessed about it endlessly. Calculated constantly. Worried perpetually. Anxiety through roof. Learned the rule. 7 days. No debt thoughts. No money obsession. Gesture every time worry came. I am wealthy in consciousness. Days 1 and 2. Brutal. Wanted to check account. Wanted to calculate debt. Wanted to plan. But didn't. Gesture instead. Redirect instead. Day 3 and 4. Easier. Less urges. More calm. Day 5 through 7. Peaceful. Actually felt wealthy. Despite debt still existing in 3D. Ceremony Day 7. Sealed wealth consciousness. Week 2. Got job promotion. Unexpected. Significant raise. Week 3. Tax refund discovered. Forgot about it. Significant amount. Week 4. Family member offered interest-free loan to consolidate debt. Came without asking, without obsessing, without planning. Came because consciousness was wealth. And wealth consciousness attracts wealth circumstances. Always. When trap breaks, when obsessing ends, when rule follows. Here's why this works. Why not thinking about money creates money? Why stopping obsessing starts manifesting? Why the trap broken means abundance flows. It's consciousness mechanics. Money is energy. Energy responds to consciousness. When consciousness is lack, energy stays away. When consciousness is abundance, energy flows in. But you can't have abundance consciousness while obsessing about lack. Can't be wealthy while worrying about poverty. Can't have money consciousness while thinking about not having money constantly. The thoughts contradict the desired state. The obsessing destroys the creation. The worry blocks the manifestation. So obsessing must stop for money to come. Worry must cease for abundance to flow. Thoughts about lack must end for consciousness of wealth to install. And installing wealth consciousness is what 7 days does. 7 days of not obsessing. 7 days of redirecting. 7 days of gesturing. 7 days of I am wealthy. 7 days that break poverty consciousness. That end lack identity. That destroy money trap. That install wealth consciousness. That create abundant reality. Not through obsessing, through stopping obsessing. Not through worrying, through stopping worrying. Not through thinking about money, through being wealthy. And being wealthy in consciousness for 7 days creates being wealthy in reality. Soon, very soon. If protocol completes, if obsessing stops, if you do the 7 days, starting today. Here's the deeper teaching. What Abdullah was really pointing to. Why this matters beyond just money. Obsessing about anything blocks that thing. Obsessing about relationship blocks relationship. Obsessing about health blocks health. Obsessing about anything blocks that thing. Because obsessing is consciousness of lack, of not having, of needing. And consciousness of needing creates reality of continuing to need. So the pattern applies everywhere, to everything. Anything you're obsessing about, you're blocking. Anything you're worrying about constantly, you're repelling. Anything you're thinking about from lack, you're creating more lack of. And creating more lack is what obsessing does, always, to everything. So learning to stop obsessing about money teaches you to stop obsessing about anything. Learning to shift from lack consciousness to having consciousness in one area teaches pattern for all areas. Learning Abdullah's rule for money teaches you Abdullah's rule for life. Stop obsessing. Start being. Stop worrying. Start having. Stop thinking from lack. Start being from abundance, in consciousness. And consciousness shift creates reality shift. In everything. In all areas. Entire life. When pattern learned. When rule followed. When obsessing stops. Everywhere. Forever. Starting with money. Starting with 7 days. Starting now. 3 things that make this work or fail. 3 things that determine if trap breaks or continues. If money comes or stays away. If life changes or remains same. 1. You must complete all 7 days. No breaking early. No, I feel better, so I'll stop at day 4. 7 days. Complete. Consecutive. Uninterrupted. Because 7 is completion number. 7 is transformation number. 7 is consciousness shift. That sticks number. Less than 7 is incomplete, is partial, is temporary shift that reverts. So 7 days, all of them, without exception, without excuse, without early stopping. 7 days that break trap. 7 days that install wealth consciousness. 7 days that change everything. If you complete, if you don't break, if you do all 7. 2. Every money thought must get gesture and redirect. No letting some slide. No, this one's different. Every single money thought, every worry, every obsession, every calculation, every check the bank account urge, every single one gets gesture and redirect. I am wealthy in consciousness, because one that slides through reinforces old pattern. One that you engage with strengthens poverty consciousness. One that you let obsess about maintains trap. So every single one, no exceptions. No mercy, ruthless redirecting, constant gesturing, perpetual returning to wealth consciousness for 7 days. Every single money thought, without exception. 3. After 7 days, maintain wealth consciousness. Don't return to obsessing. Don't fall back into trap. When money thoughts come in future, gesture remains available. Redirect remains accessible. I am wealthy remains true. And remaining in wealth consciousness maintains wealth reality. Money keeps coming. Abundance keeps flowing. Opportunities keep appearing. Because consciousness stays wealthy. And wealthy consciousness creates wealthy reality. continuously, permanently, inevitably, when you don't go back, when you don't relapse, when wealth consciousness becomes your consciousness forever, after 7 days, after protocol, after trap breaks, for lifetime. Abdullah told Neville years later, recounted in 1955 lecture, that 7 days I gave you, 7 days of not thinking about money. That was the hardest thing I ever asked you to do, and the most transformative thing you ever did. Because in those 7 days, you broke poverty consciousness. You ended lack identity. You destroyed the money trap. And breaking that trap opened everything. Not just money, everything. Because obsessing was your pattern. Obsessing about everything. Money was just most obvious, most painful, most desperate. But obsessing was your consciousness pattern. And pattern applied to everything in your life. So breaking it with money broke it everywhere. In all areas. For all manifestations. That's why I started with money. Most people's deepest lack consciousness. Most people's strongest obsession. Most people's biggest trap. Break that. Break everything. Break money obsession. Break all obsession. Learn to be wealthy in consciousness. Learn to be anything in consciousness. And learning to be in consciousness is what creates being in reality. For money. For everything. For life. When obsessing stops, when trap breaks, when 7 days complete. For you then, for everyone now, who learns the rule, who follows the protocol, who does the 7 days, who breaks the trap, forever. Start today. Now, this moment, declare 7 days. No money thoughts, no money obsessing, no money worrying. Choose your gesture. Touch heart, touch stomach, press palms, whatever. Choose now. And for 7 days, every money thought gets gesture and redirect. I am wealthy in consciousness. That's all that matters. Days 1 through 4, install and deepen. Days 5 through 7, seal and complete. Day 7 evening, ceremony. Speak the words. Seal wealth consciousness. Break money trap. End obsession. Forever. And after 7 days, money comes. Not from obsessing. From being wealthy. Being abundant. Being provided for. In consciousness. And consciousness being creates reality, having money, opportunities, abundance, all come. Because trap broke. Because obsessing ended. Because you followed the rule. Abdullah's secret rule. The rule that changes everything. The rule you're following, starting now, for 7 days. Breaking the money trap. Ending the obsession. Installing wealth consciousness. Creating abundant reality. Game-changing. Life-transforming. Everything shifting. Through Abdullah's secret rule. Through 7 days. To you. Starting now. Have you fallen into the money trap? Yes, everyone has. But today, you climb out. Today, you break free. Today, you stop obsessing. For 7 days. And 7 days changes everything. Forever. Will you do the 7 days?